Welcome to Watercolour Challenge, the show that dares 4 plucky painters to capture one of Britain's most special views in just 3 hours.
We've scoured the country in search of the finest views.
You like it?
Yeah, love it.
To put our amateur artists to the test.
I am totally frustrated at the moment.
And see if they can capture...
Gosh.
Against the clock.
Come on, push to the finishing tape. Well, that's what they used to say at games at school, anyway.
That special magic.
Do you want your picture in a painting today?
Without a train.
That makes Britain great.
It's just a privilege to be here. Look at it.
And all in wonderful watercolour.
I think that looks pretty amazing. Today we're in the green and pleasant land of Devon to tackle a unique location that helped to put this county on the international artistic map.
We are on the Dartington estate, where our artists will be attempting to capture a jewel of 20th century British architectural history.
This stunning 1930s property is considered to be the most important modernist house in Devon. But do our painters have what it takes to convey this beautiful, bold building in all its glory?
The 4 artists competing to be crowned winner of today's Watercolour Challenge...
Messy already, aren't I? Look.
...are 60-year-old NHS anaesthetist Kathy.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not something I would normally paint. But, you know, it's all about perspective, really, isn't it?
Pencil. One must have a pencil.
Born and bred EastEnder Ken is 68 and a retired retail worker.
I like a 4B pencil because it melts on the tooth of the paper for me, so I can do all of this flamboyant mark making.
37-year-old Faye is a part-time illustrator and full-time mum.
Because I'm so clumsy, if I don't have my paintbrushes in a pot or something and they're like rolling off the table, then it can all go horribly wrong.
And 55-year-old Ashley is a former firefighter.
When I saw it, I was quite worried, actually. But now I've kind of settled down and I've had a good look. I think that I can have a good stab at this, and I've got some ideas of how I want to kind of achieve that as well.
Offering them some top tips and ultimately responsible for choosing today's winner is professional artist Lisa Takahashi, our Watercolour Challenge expert for the Devon region. Lisa teaches and writes about art, and her paintings have been exhibited across the UK, including the prestigious Royal Academy.
Well, painters, these amazing locations keep coming, and this, well, you're not going to see one of those every day. But I'm quite certain there are complexities in painting it. So Lisa, as you know, our resident expert, is going to give you some tips.
Well, the fact that the building is white means that there's very subtle shifts in tone as you look from wall to wall. And that really is your biggest challenge today. So just make sure that when you're painting the building to mix all those subtle greys and be really sensitive to those tonal shifts. OK, good luck, everyone.
You've made that sound too simple. 3 hours, will they have enough time for that, do you think?
Oh, it should be plenty.
Plenty!
Should be plenty.
Right, OK. You know you have 3 hours. Are you all settled? You've got everything you need?
Yep.
Yeah? Good. Your 3 hours start now.
Faye enjoys figurative painting and rarely tackles landscapes, or buildings for that matter.
I did think that I was going to have to probably concentrate on the composition quite a bit, but since Lisa said about being really careful with the tones and the shadows, I think I'm going to need to spend a lot of time on that. So, yeah, I think my priorities have probably changed.
It's all about the lines for Ashley, who loves to create bold and atmospheric urban vistas.
It is very geometrical, but I don't mind that. I've got my trusty 2 pieces of plastic riveted together so I can get some cool angles.
Kathy's usual subjects are gentle, traditional landscapes and animals.
This landscape is putting me out of my comfort zone, for sure, because stark geometric designs is not something I would normally do. But just got to focus and observe.
Colourful and loose is Ken's signature style, but he always comes thoroughly prepared.
To complete this in 3 hours, it is possible, but a lot of the time is going to be spent on good drawing skills to get it absolutely right, and I think the painting will follow.
Lisa, this building, to me, is like an anchovy. You've got to work really hard to start enjoying it, you know? And it hasn't happened to me yet. But, I mean, I can see it's a work of art, but it's obviously very problematic to get the angles, the lines and everything else right. I wouldn't know where to start.
Okay.
Talk me through this.
Okay, well, basically it's those tones that they're really going to have to capture. If they don't get those tones right, you could end up with just a white box. And the other thing is really looking at the relationship between the architecture and the nature around it. And if you can just glance at the windows now, you see these amazing reflections there. And
yes.
that forms that lovely relationship between what's around the building and the building itself.
Before committing any paint to paper, our 4 watercolourists will sketch the scene before them.
The focal point really is the trees and the carpet of primroses, because it is so pretty and it does clash, I guess, with the hard-edged building. So I think it's going to look quite interesting as a subject.
Faye is used to painting natural, organic shapes, so she has a few tricks she can turn to.
To try and get all the tiny little lines and natural sort of bit of growth in the branches, I'm twisting my pencil around a little bit so it's not too controlled, so it flows by accident almost.
To get the perspective right, and in the first half hour, try and get that momentum is very challenging for me at the moment. I'm being pushed out of my comfort zone a little bit here, but I'll persist.
In front of our artists sits this striking modernist building with plenty of precise angles and a few sweeping curves, a stark white and blue exterior with lots of huge reflective windows, and all nestling in this very rural location.
What are you hoping to see from the artist today?
I really hope that they capture the fact that this building looks so out of place where it is. It's kind of in this sort of timeless landscape that seems to have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and in this very sort of futuristic, angular building. You know, I really hope that they celebrate the sort of anomaly that this building is.
Yep, it's certainly going to be challenging and fun to see the end result.
Absolutely, I can't wait.
Lovely painters. 30 minutes has gone already. I hope you're happy with the way things are progressing.
I'm feeling okay at the moment, actually. I've got a bit of a plan in my head. The first half an hour has been really important. I just need to not panic halfway through and do something silly.
Will our 4 artists be able to capture this striking scene as a perfect painting?
I forgot my ruler, which isn't a great start for a drawing like this, so yeah, I'm feeling a bit tense, yeah.
Or will it simply prove too much of a challenge?
I'm definitely struggling with the curve and some of these angles.
These lines, yes, I just have to concentrate the whole thing.
Welcome back to beautiful Devon, where our 4 intrepid artists are painting against the clock to create the perfect watercolour of this, one of Britain's most historic and important modernist buildings.
They're now well into the first hour of their 3-hour challenge to capture the iconic High Cross house on the Dartington estate. Our artists are figuring out their compositions before starting to paint.
I've done the house relatively small, And I also want some foreground as well. And I've got very excited at the moment because the sun has come out and there's some amazing shadows on there.
While Kathy is drawn to the light, ex-firefighter Ashley is focused on the framing of the scene and planning a colour palette.
I am using 3 colours, and 2 of them are of shades of grey, and the other one is a blue. And obviously, if you look at the building, there is an element of blue on there, but it'll have tonal value. It might work, it might not work, but I'm just going to go for that.
His rough pencil sketches done, Ken is already starting on his main picture.
The composition is the building is dominating, and it's integrated with even bigger trees around it, which is what I wanted to do. So you've got the combination of man-made with nature.
I'm not the only one keeping a close eye on their progress. Today's judge is professional painter and teacher Lisa Takahashi, who's here to see if our artists are doing this location justice and to offer the odd tip. Lisa's colourful Impressionism-inspired art celebrates the vibrancy of everyday life and the countryside and has been exhibited at galleries across the UK.
Hello, Faye.
Hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm just trying to quicken up my sketching. I think I've gone over a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just noticing you're getting a lot of detail on the tree, especially. I can see lots of really, really tiny details. So maybe just focus on the big shapes. And once you've got those in place, which I think you may have already, maybe it's time to start looking at colour now.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Get cracking.
That's one of those instructions that really is hard. Just go for it.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, and dive
jump
in.
off the cliff. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Faye's usual illustrative work involves painting the female form, specifically mermaids. So today, she's well out of her comfort zone.
So this is Stella. She's my first mermaid, and she's surrounded by lots of beautiful hydrangeas. So I guess she epitomises everything that I paint at the moment.
Whilst Faye prepares to take the painting plunge, Ken has already dived in.
Wow, Ken, there's paint going on already. Is that exciting you, Lisa?
Very much so, yeah. And very, very gentle touch you've got there going on, which is lovely to see. How are you feeling about it?
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, it's all lines, but I want the nature part to connect with the geometric shapes. I'm still working my way around this at the moment.
Ken's usual style is more fluid than precise.
I've got a loose painterly style, so it's a splish-splash thing to evoke an emotion where people can engage with the feel rather than absolute critical detail.
So this view is really testing his brush skills.
I think what will be really, really interesting in this painting, because you've got the building so big in your composition, those reflections are going to be absolutely key. So you're going to have to observe those windows really, really closely, I think.
That's challenging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, all right.
Good luck, Ken.
Thank you.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good luck.
Yeah.
Well, all our painters are working hard to capture the striking, modernist look of High Cross House here on the Dartington estate. It was commissioned in 1931 by estate owners, the Elmhursts, and when completed it stood at the very cutting edge of international architecture. I'm meeting up with writer Will Kemp to find out more.
Why on earth did they build something as modern as this?
Well, the Elmhursts were real innovators. They loved the developments that were happening in modernist architecture, arts, and all kinds of things at the time. So for them, this was a celebration of that new style that was coming into America and Europe at the time.
And they weren't afraid of being laughed at. I mean, this is an extraordinary place to plonk a building like this.
They weren't afraid. They wanted to be progressive, to experiment and to innovate. And so for them, this was very exciting.
The house was designed by William Lescars, one of the leading architects of the modern movement, who also created the first modernist skyscraper in America.
It's one of the very few examples of this kind of house in the international style of modernist architecture in the UK. On a domestic scale, the house that was actually lived in by someone. You know, you see many grand public buildings, but this was a house and was lived in.
I think our painters are finding out a lot about the architecture at the moment with their angles and the colours. Thank you very much indeed, Will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The history and design of this house really is fascinating. But almost an hour into the challenge, how is it inspiring our 4 artists? Having worked out the angles and lines of the building, Ashley is almost ready to start his painting proper. A process that for him sometimes combines luck with judgment.
With the watercolours, there are some things, you know, that I can't control once the paint's down on the paper. But that said, there's some really cool effects and some happy accidents that, you know, I can achieve with watercolour, which I would not be able to do with any other medium. I've just done a little bit of extra drawing because I just wanted to just make sure that it was accurate, but I'm conscious, obviously, I don't want to spend too much time doing this before I move on. The next step in the plan will be to probably start looking at the sky, putting some colour in, but in a subtle grey tone, but the idea to give myself a contrast to the white building, which will hopefully stand out when I start taking the tones down a bit. It's okay, actually. I quite like it.
I suppose this subject is a painter's dream, isn't it? And how are you looking at it in a painterly way?
Well, I just think that the contrast between all these angles and clean edges with all the sort of swirly, gnarly curves of nature is really beautiful. And I think that I would start by establishing the building, positioning it in my composition where I want it to be, and then just really, really honing down on all those angles and that sense of perspective. And once you've mastered that, you can really have fun painting around it.
In terms of composition, I wanted to make the house about a third, because I really like the tree coming down and softening it, that tree branch there.
Kathy might have settled on the elements of her scene, but she's also having to deal with the changing light.
Kathy, how's it going?
Yeah, well, the sun's come out, so I'm trying to get these shadows on.
Yeah, the tones. You're finding it's all changed completely, though, in the last hour, isn't it?
Yeah, it has, yeah.
So we've almost got the building in full sunlight now on all sides.
It's completely changed.
So are you going to stick to an initial plan with your tones, or are you going to just react to what...
I'm going to react to this, but
so
whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. I'm not sure it's working, but hey-ho, we'll see.
As our artists are discovering, the key to success in the challenge will be the ability to capture a white building in brilliant sunlight. Because traditional watercolours don't include white paint, to achieve the effect of a bright white shape, they need to leave that part of the paper blank. It's a technique called negative painting.
You'll see that on the white side of the building, I haven't actually painted it. You know, I've only painted the window within, but this is actually the white of the paper, and it just seems to glow. So let me demonstrate and prove to you that you don't actually need to put that white in. I'm just going to paint an approximation of the building. So now I'm going to start putting the lawn in here. So there's my lawn. And I'm just going to pop that in there. Suddenly comes alive as soon as you put that shadow. So you can see that the building is going down there and the light is hitting this facade. And I'll just put a little window in there as well. What you've got is that beautiful luminosity of that building there. And it just needs a few more details and just keep on layering the colour around it. And then you get that lovely three-dimensionality of the scene, which is exactly what you're aiming for.
All our artists are employing the same technique, leaving the paper blank for the whitest of the many white walls. They're over an hour into the 3-hour challenge, so they'll have to get a shimmy on.
Hi. Hi, Ashley.
Hi,
How's
Lisa.
it going?
It's going okay, thank you.
I think you're only using one colour at the moment, but will there be more colours coming in?
In terms of the colour, I've actually got 3 different colours. So I've got a Payne's grey, a cobalt blue, and I've got a neutral tint as well. So the plan will be, without giving away too many secrets, will be that I'm gonna have some of that blue in there. It's gonna be a monochrome painting, but with a little bit of blue in there.
Okay.
So it might work, it might not work. You know, I'm gonna take a risk. So
Yeah.
why not?
It sounds really exciting.
Thank you.
The weather is being a bit tricksy on us, isn't it?
Yes.
The sun keeps coming in and out. How are you dealing with that?
So I did a bit of a tonal sketch, and I've put some shade in.
Right.
So I'm going to stick to that,
Okay.
but I'm going to also add in a few more tree shadows. So that's the plan.
My word of warning to you is to just not chase the weather too much. There's a temptation, isn't there, to sort of look up and respond. But when it's ever changing like this, you've got to have a clear idea and stick to it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'll think about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Looking forward to seeing how it develops.
Yeah, me too.
Good luck.
While Ashley primes his palette, Ken's tackling the trees using a nifty trick.
I'm just spraying the brushes so they part and can create more of a line for me, so I don't get false-looking twigs.
And it looks like our expert Lisa's top tip is paying dividends for Faye.
Doing this building is taking up a lot of time, but luckily, because it is white, I've only really had to fill in where the shadows are.
Kathy, this is looking really good, isn't it? What do you normally paint?
Not this.
Where's your comfort zone?
My comfort zone is landscapes, animals, nothing modern like that.
NHS anaesthetist Kathy has always been a keen watercolourist, but juggling a busy career and a family means she hasn't always been able to find the time.
So this is where I paint. This is my conservatory. I think the reason I love painting so much is at work as an anaesthetist, it's all about being evidence-based and scientific. And I guess painting is really the opposite of all those things. I think it's just that you're creating something that's lasting. It's just something personal that you can give to someone.
Lovely painters. You have had an hour and a half. You're halfway through, in other words, and keep going.
The clock is ticking for our watercolourists.
So not too bad so far, but there's time yet to mess it up.
But which one of them will come out on top today?
So far I've spent a lot of time on the building, and I'm definitely making it up as I go along with this picture.
Well, our artists are over halfway through their 3-hour challenge to capture the perfect watercolour of this amazing 1930s architectural gem. But will they finish on time?
Full-time mum Faye has the trees very much in the foreground, but an error with her paint has left her feeling anxious.
I'm trying to ignore my little dodgy bit on the side here. I'm really tempted to cover up in masking tape to try and bring it in a bit, because I didn't quite get the angle right on my blue building, and I was trying to match the blue colour with the sky, but it's not looking great.
Former East Londoner Ken is using the trees as a framing device for his very bold building, and it's giving him food for thought.
I'm standing back for the moment, just looking at it, evaluating with some peanuts. It's vital to the aesthetics. You need a balance between the fibre of the woods and the fibre of the peanut. There is a connection. That's how I relate to nature, by peanuts.
NHS anaesthetist Kathy has now started painting, but some earlier indecision has cost her valuable time.
Oops. That's not what I wanted, that bright yellow. Come on, got it now.
Some of them are doing some fantastic things. Other people may be a little bit behind. What's your opinion?
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag today. Looking at Kathy recently, she seems very nervous and the paint is going on very slowly, so I'm a bit worried about time. Ashley's having a bit more of a better time with it. He's got a 3-colour palette on the go, which he's now applying to the paper, which is really interesting. It's looking really lovely.
Faye,
the colours she's using are very evocative of this 30s, 40s period, which is of course when this building was made. Yes. So it all kind of ties together. There's a lovely sort of nostalgic quality to her work, which I'm loving, to be honest.
While some of the artists are going for a looser, stylised feel, Ken has opted for something a bit more realistic.
Well, Ken, that's looking really, really strong at the moment. There's something very big about the composition, sort of captured the majesty of the building. I think the foreground is the bit that's standing out to me as needing a bit more attention. So my suggestion to you is to incorporate some of those tonal shifts, just to describe the fact that the land sweeps down towards us.
Okay.
And that will just add a geometric element to the whole composition,
yes,
and it will complement the building itself.
Good idea. Yeah.
Okay, so good luck.
While Ken thinks about his foreground, Kathy is finally getting to grips with her colours.
Hi, Kathy. Sorry to stop you.
Hi, no, fine.
I just think that the colours that you're putting on is great. I think it was a bit of a slow start for you today, maybe.
Yeah.
But the colour is coming on really nicely now, and you've got a lovely, fresh, breezy element to it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm reasonably happy with the house. I'm not happy with my tree. I think I need to put more tone on there, and I need to put some shadows in the foreground. So
I'd be tempted to focus your attention on all the trees surrounding and the foreground.
Yes, sure, absolutely. I'm not going to do any more to the house.
Bring those elements out.
Yes.
And try and fill the whole page as well, if you can.
Sure.
Because that will just give it real life and have that dialogue between the nature and the man-made.
Yeah.
Well, this modernist masterpiece is proving to be a bit of a learning curve for our artists. But here on Dartington Hall Estate, art and learning have gone hand in hand for a century.
Starting in 1925, the estate's wealthy owners, Dorothy and Leonard Elmhurst, invited some of the world's greatest artists here to work and share their creative knowledge with students of Dartington College. Dr. Greg Parston is chair of the Board of Trustees.
The Elmhurst, and the kind of artists that they brought here, they tried to welcome a broad range of people to participate in the beauty of the place and in those progressive values, which is an important part of the British art history.
Among the artists were sculptor Willy Sukup, who had fled Nazi-occupied Austria and created 2 enchanting works for the estate, the Swan Fountain and this beautiful bronze donkey. But perhaps the most famous work on display is by legendary British sculptor Henry Moore, considered one of the most important British artists of the 20th century.
I like the Henry Moore.
Best known for his abstract reclining figures, a work by Moore called Memorial Figure takes pride of place in the Dartington Hall garden.
It remains today one of 2 stone figures still exhibited outside. What's outstanding about the piece is Henry Moore not only carved it as a tribute to the former director of the College of Art, but he actually selected the site.
Now, almost a century after the Elmhurst's pioneering work began, the estate has come full circle.
We've spent some time looking back at that legacy and really trying to restate their mission. We've opened again the School of Art, and we're now offering degree programs, and we've got students here today who are studying again. And so now what we're really focusing on is being a center for learning around ecology, social justice, and the arts. And we are hoping that that takes forward the legacy of the Elmhursts, but makes it relevant to 21st century.
I wonder if the work of those artistic pioneers will rub off on our painters. I do hope so.
I might be in danger of overworking it in a minute, especially my dodgy blue section.
Monochrome, I love painting with it. It gives me all those different variations, and you know, some people may not like it in a landscape and they might say it looks wrong, but you know, what's right?
Ashley is using a rubber-based liquid called masking fluid, which stops the paint from reaching the paper. When it's peeled off, the paper is left untouched.
I'm going to start taking off the masking fluid now and just see how this works. So it's something I put on at the beginning of the painting to just give me a little bit of interest in the foreground. So I've got lots of flowers there, so I'm trying to kind of replicate that a little bit.
Some people have made some significant changes quite quickly, but there are others who still need a bit more time, do you think?
Yeah, this is the nature of the beast. Watercolour can go really quickly or it can go really slowly. If you look at Faye's progress, I think there's quite a lot to address from the left-hand side of her paper, so I hope she's got enough time to do it, but I'm a little bit nervous. Ken, he's got a beautiful kind of realist colour palette going on at the moment, but he needs to get a bit more of the tonal shifts in there and a description of the land that slopes downwards. There's Ashley, and he's got really cool palettes, and I'm really hoping that he can sort of get it a little bit more subtle, because it's very stark, sort of black and white almost. He's not got the in-between greys that I like.
It's still quite brutal, but then again, this building is pretty brutal.
That's true, that's true.
And Kathy?
And Kathy, well, Kathy, she has surprised me in the last chunk of time, because she was very behind to begin with, but the colour's gone on, and she's got this gorgeous sense of airiness and spring-like breezes, and it's really evocative of where we are today. But it's all to play for still. It's such an unpredictable medium that you just can't give an early answer.
Lovely painters. You've got half an hour left. Half an hour. That may be a blessing or a curse, we don't know. But well done so far.
With time fast running out,
I really need to get a wriggle on. I'm feeling a bit of pressure now. Yeah.
which of our 4 watercolourists will be crowned today's winner?
Oh, it's a bit tense, isn't it? Very tense.
We are here at the modernist masterpiece High Cross House on the Dartington estate in Devon. Our 4 artists are coming to the end of their 3-hour watercolour challenge, with each of them hoping to be crowned today's winner.
Painters, you're in your last 5 minutes.
Oh, it's a bit tense, isn't it? Very tense.
Faye, I'm just checking in.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. I'm just trying to rectify an area that I'm not that happy with.
The blue bit.
Yeah, the blue bit. The was trying to make sure the sky matched the blue because I thought it was very similar, but it's looking a bit odd because obviously the rest of the house is white. So I'm just trying to put some bits in to make it pop out.
I'll leave you and let you get on, but good thinking, good.
Cheers.
But it seems not everyone's feeling the pressure.
Have you finished? What are you up to, Ken?
I've still got half a cup. Oh,
I was just coming to see how you're doing. You look as if you've got all the time in the world.
There's nothing like a cup of coffee to be able to evaluate that situation.
You're a cool customer, aren't you? Bit of a dude. I tell you what, I love the shadows of the trees on the house.
You do. That was something I never considered when I started to paint it, and yet there it is. The reflections are in the windows. They're up the wall, as you've noticed, which really suits this building, sets it firmly in this context of this nature, you see.
You're giving your own critique. Well done.
You're a victor. We're both victors.
Yeah, we are. Whatever happens now.
Whatever happens.
Painters, you have 10 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brushes down, that's it, step away. Well done. Well done, everybody. Excellent.
We're good, aren't we?
Oh, what a day.
I'm hoping they will see what I've actually painted and understand where I'm approaching. And as an added bonus, think, yes, that's the painting for us.
I think I've done as much as I can. I actually really enjoyed the painting, as in the colours I was using, and experimenting a bit, because it's something I've never really done with this subject matter before.
It was a bit of a gamble because I've put in literally 3 colours, so that was the plan, and yeah, I guess they'll like it, or maybe not, I don't know, but you know, I just got to paint true to myself, really.
I feel relieved now, mainly because at the beginning I really didn't feel happy about painting this. So I feel so much happier now, and it's gone okay.
Well, I think all our artists have done brilliantly well, but it's not up to me. Our judge, professional painter Lisa Takahashi, is going to choose which artist she thinks has best captured this wonderful view to become the winner of today's Watercolour Challenge.
Kathy told me she was right out of her comfort zone, but actually she's got some good work going on there, hasn't she?
Absolutely. You wouldn't necessarily know it. I know that she was sort of slowing down towards the end, and I kind of wish that she just put a few more of the branches and the trees up in the top left and right hand corners. I think she's got this habit of sort of leaving edges and leaving spaces around the painting, and I kind of wish that she had just put a little bit more in there today.
Right. Well, Ashley's got his angles in, but there's something kind of dystopian about it. Like, what experiments are they doing in that building? You know what I mean?
Quite. I mean, it's dramatic, to say the least. And it was really nice to see him using the ruler. But can you see that row of windows at the top of that white building and the line of the top edge? They're not in parallel to each other. So he's where the buildings receded away, the windows haven't. So everything's slightly off, which kind of adds to the eeriness, I think. It adds to the sort of discomfort of the painting, but that's probably not intentional. So that's what I'm a bit worried about.
Ken's captured this really well, I think, and the shadows of the trees and the reflections in the windows.
Yeah,
I'd say if you're going for realism, he's got it.
He really has. Those shadows, that shadow in the middle of that white building is absolutely exquisite. But I'm just a bit sad he didn't push the saturation of his colours a little bit more today. He could have had a bit more in the trees. He could have had a bit more of a punchy sky, and he's kind of amalgamated this cloudy weather with the shadows that you would have had in the sun. And I kind of would have hoped for a bit more of the sunshiny conditions than he's put in today. And then it would have been really, really super.
Okay. Faye has given the house a completely different character to everybody else, hasn't she?
She has, yeah. There's a sort of nostalgic kind of atmosphere with hers. It kind of looks like an illustration from a sort of 1940s poster, which I really like. And I mean, earlier I was a bit worried that the left-hand side looked very heavy. There were these strong blues, but there wasn't very much happening on the right-hand side. But now I see it. I see that she had a plan, and she has these lovely trees that are receding in the distance, and she's dealt with the sky beautifully. I just love the way that she's got the very strong blue and then the very nice white puffy clouds on the right. It's got a lovely sense of balance.
So, are you ready to tell the painters who's won?
I think I am, actually.
It's the moment of truth. Will it be Kathy's colourful but Spartan composition? Ken's shadowy take on today's scene? Ashley's angular and rather dystopian piece? Or Faye's period-infused creation?
Well done, everybody. You really rose to today's challenge, and that was a difficult subject. But now, as you know, there can only be one winner, and it's in Lisa's hands. And in your professional opinion, who has won today?
Well, I feel particularly cruel today because you've all done really well, and it was a tough subject, so well done, everyone. But today's winner is Faye. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Faye's composition was really good. I think she had the edge on everyone else with her composition, and I'm really cool with that. It was good. Well deserved.
She agonised about that painting. It didn't turn out the way she wanted, and she won, and I'm thrilled for her.
I really enjoyed painting today. It was a real challenge. Faye painted really, really well. Some really good shapes in there, and I love what she's done with the foreground as well. So yeah, she was a worthy winner today.
I chose Faye because I felt that she had a really unique vision. She portrayed the building in a way that was so evocative of the 30s and 40s, and she really smashed it out the park. It was really, really good work.
I'm really surprised that I won, actually, because I thought my little boo-boo on the end of the picture might have ruined any chances. So yeah, really pleasantly surprised. So I feel very proud of myself.
So there we have it, another stupendous view captured in 4 very different and very beautiful watercolour paintings. And why don't you join us next time as we celebrate another great British view through the eyes of amateur artists in the next Watercolour Challenge.